So then I'm like, I gotta go write about this. There's like gotta be more teas down there. And so Operation Gringo Loco commenced, and I drove my car from Topeka, Kansas down through Mexico. Kansas is one of the only places in the United States that doesn't require a front license plate, so I'm getting pulled over every 30 miles by the cops there, and they'd wish me along my way usually. Sometimes they wanted money. And so I just kept going, and I was there. I had like 12 sites I wanted to see for my book, but I had in my mind that T-shaped window I saw in Guatemala. I was like, if there's some in northern Mexico and there's some down here in Guatemala, there's got to be some in between. And sure enough, I found another one, or several of them, at Tehuacan Puebla. I've lost a lot of my photos. This is the best one I have. You can see the tops cut off here. But this is a really cool site in Puebla, Mexico. So I found another one. And then did some research and found out that there was quite a bit at Palenque. So Palenque is one of the most famous Maya sites. Here's a picture of me. You got two T-shaped windows in the background there. These T's are a little smaller. And here's some of them. This one's upside down. That was kind of cool. I think I counted 15 total T's at Palenque. So once again, the T, the symbol of the T, what's going on there? I was talking to my friend Luke Caverns. Anybody fan of Luke Caverns' channel? He's awesome. And I'm just like, I keep telling him, like, what do you think about the T's? And he goes down there and did one of his expeditions to a lesser-known site, and he texts me. He's like, dude, I found a T, went inside the temple, and immediately I noticed it was like it was capturing the wind. Like the cool air was just flowing through, and there's actually a Mayan glyph called Ik, and another one that's extended called Ikwe, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, but it's a T. It's a T. So maybe it has something to do with wind, you know? Maybe. Steve Lexon thought it was maybe a status symbol or a symbol for one of their, religious movements. So, interesting. Yeah.
They're built around the empty space, not carved in. But some of them seem carved in, some of them seem built around.
Built around, but there's one more. You're going to see one that's carved in here soon. So that's a good question, sir. I'll talk about that in a second. So here's Michael Collins and I, Wandering Wolf Productions. Whoop, whoop. He's the man. This was so cool. I've been following his channel for a long time, like before he even blew up. And he hit me up while I was in Peru. He was like, what's up, dude? Can I come down and join you? I was like, yes. So me and Mike got to know each other really well. And while I was down there, we were just internet sleuthing, trying to find stuff. And I found something that blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. Here's a drone shot I took of a place called Ravache in northern Peru, Chachapoyas, just to kind of give you an overlook of how big these are. And this is a mausoleum. These aren't actual cliff dwellings. This is where they would put their dead. And I couldn't believe it. We got T's in adobe cliff structures, like you see in the American Southwest. This is in Peru. So those, sir, are like carved into the adobe. Those are a false window. It doesn't actually go inside, if that helps with what you're talking about there. So then I was like, let's go find some more. This is a site, Diablo Wasi, and I tried to get to this T right here, but unfortunately, for the first time in my life, got altitude sickness, which is wild. I spent a lot of time in Colorado. I had to turn back. And then this next one's really wild. Okay, not this one. This one's wild too. This is a place called Carahia, and these are the sarcophagi of the Chachapoyas elite. You can see there's an actual skull right there. That's how they presented them. And incredible place in Chachapoyas, but right here, got a T symbol on his chest. Okay, really cool site. A lot of people think those look like the statues at Easter Island. Kind of interesting. And then this is some pottery as well with that symbol of the T. This one's wild. This is a site in Peru, Aquimarca, and it's like a house for ants. What's the Zoolander, right? That's a Zoolander reference, and I'm just kidding. but they had T's on them. Look how tiny these little things are. Really cool place. So, symbol of T's, what's going on there? Maybe some of y'all have some opinions in the Q&A if we have time. You can rapid fire at me. Tell me what you think. 3,665 miles, pretty wild. So, what's that? Well, I don't necessarily think gnomes, but my friend Gonzalo on Twitter thinks that maybe they have something to do with the tridactyl mummies down there, and Ed here as well. I think it's probably more likely that they use that as a way to do a blueprint for a larger building, right? Build it small, have the design, and then build it big. That's probably what I think. So, but I'm not a hater. I like all the theories. Throw it at me. So, okay, this one, the cover up at Hueyatlaco. This is my video that's helped kind of blow me up a little bit. I've gotten millions of views across platforms on this topic, which I never expected. Hopefully I have time to cover it. I need to start probably going with it. So, the cover up at Hueyatlaco, humans in the Americas for 250,000 years. And I call it a cover up because you're going to find out it's an actual cover up. So, first discovery, 1959, there was a man named Juan Armento Camacho. He was an amateur archaeologist. He found this, I believe it's a hip bone of some extinct Ice Age animal, maybe a camel, North American camel. And they had these clear depictions of a hunting scene carved on this. And it was carved on something called green bone, which meant that it was carved soon after death. They knew it was carved soon after death, and it was fossilized. Some people say, well, things can fossilize quicker. The science I'm familiar with is fossilization takes about 10,000 years. So this was super old. That was kind of a no-no because, at the time, humans had only been in the Americas for 12,000 years. This is back in the late 50s. And it's discovered on this little reservoir out here near Puebla, Mexico, and you can see these volcanoes here. That's Papo. I can't pronounce the full Nahuatl word on it, but they call it Papo. And that's important because you're going to see this here. There was a lady named Dr. Cynthia Irwin Williams, really good archaeologist, that was assigned by Dr. Hannah Marie Wormington, and went down there with the Smithsonian, U.S. Geological Survey, pretty big excavation, because everyone accepted that hip bone was quite the anomaly. And I also just want to preface this: the hip bone's not what we think is 250,000 years. That's what led to further excavation that you're going to find out about. A lot of people get confused with that. That hip bone's probably not 250,000 years old. But she starts finding artifacts in layers of dirt that's underneath the Hueyatlaco ash here. I showed you that picture of Papo earlier. So ash is great because you can date that. So you had artifacts found in bed C and E and bed I, completely distinct beds. Little spoiler, I'm going to try to set this up correctly here. Bed I, no one debated that bed I was clearly under the Hueyatlaco ash. Bed C and E, there's a debate there on whether they were. So we're going to talk about both those. There's several things that are compartmentalized here. It's going to get a little technical, and as a result, I'm going to play with your guys' permission, I'm going to play a 5-minute video from one of my YouTubes of a debate between these two archaeologists about this topic here in just a moment. So, they find these artifacts, and that's great. Let's test the ash. Well, there's a guy named Hal Malday. He's passed away since, but he does carbon dating, which is not, at the time, it was the best they had. It's not the most accurate dating method. Some of the ones you're going to find out about are a lot more accurate. But he gets 22,000 years, and this is a big no-no. Humans haven't been in the Americas for 22,000 years. They put their jackets on and they walked across the ice-free corridor and they got to the Americas 12,000 years ago, right? That's what they thought at the time. So this challenged Clovis' first dogma, and immediately becomes these baseless accusations by really the Mexican government of artifact planting.